How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today we've got a new video coming to this series of videos that I've started a while back on tier lists. And this is a series that I just started not that long ago where I do tier lists based on things that I love and, things that are up and coming or anything in general that I just love watching or playing, whether it's video games, movies, TV shows, anything of that matter. And for our second episode of this series, I wanted to do my own tier list of the Fast and the Furious franchise. All the movies, all 9 movies that have come from this franchise of films. And the reason I am doing this now is because of the fact that recently, just this past weekend, the most recent Fast and Furious movie, Fast 9, just released. And I just wanted to do a bit of a tier list on all the movies because of that. And so I just want to hop right into this and get you guys all up to speed and see where you guys feel. If you guys enjoy this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate that. If you want to comment down below in the comment section how you feel about these movies, where would you rank the films? Please let me know down below in the comments. So let's jump right into it. So let's start off with the very first Fast and the Furious film, The Fast and the Furious. Now, this movie came out around the time that I hadn't, when it comes to these movies, I didn't start watching the Fast and the Furious films, I would say, until Fast 5. I want to say Fast 5 was the first one I started watching. Basically, I had seen these movies in a very random order. I never watched these. At the time, I had watched these movies in the completely wrong order. I never watched from beginning to end. And obviously now I understand the story. I know where every single one of them goes. And so the first one, The Fast and the Furious, I would probably put this movie in the C category. This movie to me was just okay. It's not really the best film in the world, as far as the fact that if I remember anything so much to the point where I really love the movie. There are parts of it that are forgettable, and there's also a lot of good parts in it. I think the ending of The Fast and the Furious is one of the more iconic endings in the franchise, just because so many people remember it as just being the start of the franchise as a whole. And so I would probably put that movie at around a low C for me, if I end up putting up any other movies in the C tier. The next film in the franchise, Too Fast and Too Furious. Now, I want to make it very clear. This movie is probably going to be, I think it's going to go D. This to me, I think I want to say this is my least favorite in the franchise. I just don't really particularly like this movie. It's very forgettable. There's not a lot about this movie that people inherently remember when it comes to the Fast and Furious franchise. Everybody else remembers every other movie more than this one. I mean, this movie is just very forgettable. And of course, it introduced two of the main characters who are currently in the franchise right now recently, and that was Roman and Tej. I mean, played by Ludacris and Tyrese Gibson. I mean, these two have been they're still in the franchise now, and they have grown to be two of the best characters in the entire franchise. I mean, it introduced us to them, but at the same time, I think it was also missing a lot of the other OG characters, like a Dom, like a Mia, like anybody else. It was missing those key components, I think. And overall, I think the story just wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't that compelling of a movie. So that's going to be in the D tier. Now, before we move on, I just want to say I know there's an F category there's an F tier in here. I'm not going to be putting any movies in the F tier for this franchise. I don't inherently think any of the movies in this franchise are so bad to the point where they would be considered in the F tier. I just don't personally believe that. But Too Fast, Too Furious for me is a very low D. It's not really the greatest film in the world. So moving on to the third film in the franchise, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Now, I'm going to be very controversial with what I'm about to say right now, because this film to me it has a very big soft spot in my heart. This movie is a guilty pleasure on steroids for me. I absolutely enjoy watching this movie. I don't inherently love the movie. I understand it's got a lot of problems, but to me, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is a B for me. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, but I do absolutely adore watching that movie. I mean, there's just, I don't know what it is. There is something about Tokyo Drift that I love watching the movie. And I understand even with all the flaws it has, it's like, there's just something about it that I still inherently just enjoy watching when it comes to that film. I just don't know what it is. Obviously, the film has nothing to do with any of the main characters and any of the main storylines of any of the Fast and Furious movies. It's a completely separate film. The only person in that film that is even remotely connected, of course, is Han. And he is probably, I would say, maybe even the best part about that film. And so, I can only say so much about the film coming from my standpoint, but that's where I would rank it. Moving on, Fast and Furious 4. Where do I put this movie? Again, this is one of those ones that's in the lower echelon. I would probably put this movie in C. I'm gonna put that movie in C too. I don't really think it's really all that good either. I would say it's a little bit more middle tier than it is bottom tier. It is a very low C though, and I know I said earlier I thought that The Fast and the Furious was low C. I think I mixed my movies up. No, Fast and Furious 4 is the low C tier movie for me. It's an okay movie. It's meh. I mean, I really don't know what else to say about the movie. There's not really that much to talk about. Again, it's not one of the more memorable ones. Obviously, this one did bring back our characters, our main characters, in Dom and Paul Walker, who I don't know why I'm stumbling on his character's name right now. I mean, Brian. That's right, Brian. Brian, Dom, Mia, Letty. It brought all these characters back. So again, that's where I would put it. It's low C tier for me. Moving on now to, I would say, my favorite film in the entire Fast franchise for sure. I would say I've seen this one more than any of the others fully through. Let's just put it where it needs to go. Fast 5 is an S tier for me. This movie it's amazing. I love this movie so much. It's really, really good. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not by any means a masterpiece of a film. This movie is not flawless by any means. It does have some issues, I think, but inherently this movie just has so much more good than bad, and it's like it doesn't even come close. This movie is amazing. The ending bank vault chase scene is obviously one of the more ridiculous moments in the entire franchise, but you love every second of it that you just don't even care. I mean, it's stuff like that in that movie that I just inherently love, and there was so much more. And obviously, this was the first film to introduce The Rock. This was the first one The Rock got introduced in, and he elevated the movie even more as well. And so I love where this movie went, and so it's an S tier for me. Best movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. Fast and Furious 6. Now, I would say that this is where, again, Fast 5 to me is where the franchise started going to that over-the-top route and kind of where, like, it knew what it was. And it moved away from the whole car racing stuff and all that and turned into, like, heist movies and This movie to me is a very high A. Very, very high A tier movie. This is as high as it's going to get. I would either put it bottom S or very top A, but it's gonna go at the very top of the A tier for me. I do really, really like this movie. It's a lot of fun for me. It's also I think it's probably actually, you know what? Yeah, it is my second favorite. Fast and Furious 6 is my second favorite Fast movie. It's the second most enjoyable one for me. It's the one I've watched the most behind Fast 5. I really get a kick out of that movie. Obviously, it introduced The Rock as now being a good guy, because obviously he wasn't really a good guy in Fast 5. Obviously that turned in the very end of the film. But this movie was a lot of fun. I mean, it is a lot of fun. I really like where they went with that one. So it's going to go high A tier for me. Furious 7, not Fast and Furious 7, just Furious 7. This movie, gosh, I don't know where to put this one. You know what? I do know where to put this one. This one for me is going in. Let's switch these around. It's going at the very top of B tier for me. This one was a little bit more of a step down. Notice how from Fast 5 to 6 to 7 it kind of goes down a little bit. Again, I can only say that this movie to me is obviously, if you don't know, this was Paul Walker's last film in the franchise. This was the last one that he did. And, I I think really this movie for a lot of people is one of the more I would say this is probably a lot of people's favorite film just because it is Paul Walker's last movie. Obviously, he passed before this movie came out back in 2013 in a car crash. And so this was the very last movie that his character is in. He's not in The Fate of the Furious, Fast 8 or Fast 9. He's not in any of those two movies. But Furious 7, I think it really did push. Like the ending of Furious 7 is one of the more iconic scenes in all of film history. The ending of Furious 7, where Brian and Dom drive off in two separate directions, while the Charlie Puth and Wiz Khalifa song is playing. I'm forgetting the name of it right now. That is one of the more iconic scenes in film history. I mean, because it just resonates and it made people cry, man. It made people emotional. I can't dig Furious 7 for that. But I mean, overall, the Furious 7 as a film, the story is a letdown, I think, a little bit more so than the previous two films. I still did like watching that movie. It is a movie that I do like watching. It's okay. It's good. I don't obviously rank it higher than the last two, but that's where I would rank it. High B tier. The Fate of the Furious, or Fast and the Furious 8. This movie to me, God, where do I put this film? So obviously, if you don't know, this is Furious 7 was the one that introduced Jason Statham's character, who was the brother of Luke Evans's character, who was the villain in Furious 6, Fast and Furious 6. Furious 7 introduced Jason Statham, and The Fate of the Furious is kind of a continuation of that story in a way, only it brought in Charlize Theron as the villain. This movie is, I would say it's much more forgettable. Honestly, I'm really trying to. I know where I'm putting it. We're gonna put this one in top C. Top C. Fate of the Furious to me is a top C tier movie for me. It doesn't go any lower or higher for me. It's barely nudging on a low B tier, but I can't get it any higher. This movie is definitely more of a lesser film than the previous three. Again, you just notice how the movies keep going down and gradually going down in quality. I didn't hate this. I didn't dislike this movie. I think it's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just meh. It's in the middle for me. I don't really know much to say about it. Other than I will give it this. It did do a twist that I actually really like that they went with, and it made Vin Diesel. It made him a bad guy for a good amount of time. It made him a bad guy, and I thought that was an interesting take. So that's where I would put Fate of the Furious. And now we have come to the final film so far, because obviously we know there's going to be a Fast and Furious 10. Fast 9. Oh boy, where do I put this one? So obviously, if you guys don't know, I already did a review on this movie a couple of days ago. Go check that out. I will probably link it below in the description. This movie to me is definitely a tricky one because I thoroughly defended this movie in my review. I really do not think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. I do think people critiqued the hell out of this movie way too hard. You know where I'm going to put this movie? Here's where I'm putting it. Right there. Right in between Fate of the Furious and The Fast and the Furious. This movie is right in there between those two. Again, the movie went down in quality as the films went on. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's an okay, middle of the pack, not great, not good, not bad either movie. It's just there. And I think obviously the film did just come out. I feel like people might have to give it some time in order to really let it sink in. But that's where I would probably put it for now. Again, yeah, there's some problems with the story, but overall the movie is just a ridiculously stupid enjoyment. It's ridiculous and it's dumb and it's fun all at the same time. That's how I would categorize Fast 9 for me. But other than that, guys, I mean, that's all I really have to say about these movies. This is my tier list for the Fast and Furious franchise. Obviously, there are going to be some movies on this list that will might throw some people off. Like some people seeing that I have Tokyo Drift above all these movies. I mean, it would throw people, because obviously people have Tokyo Drift as like F tier or like low D tier. People have that as like the worst Fast and Furious movie. Not to me though. I thoroughly enjoy Tokyo Drift. It has a soft spot in my heart. So that might be the only controversial part of my tier list. But other than that, guys, I want to know what you guys would do if you were making a tier list for the Fast and Furious movies. Where would you rank them? I want to know down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And as always, guys, if you are new to this channel, I would really like it if you would hit that like and subscribe button and support my channel. If you enjoy my videos, I would greatly appreciate that. So yeah, guys, that was episode 2 of my tier list. And again, thank you guys all so much for tuning into the video. And I will see you guys all in the next video. All right, peace out, guys.